So for our psalm this morning, I'm going to read Psalm 61. And I thought it just kind of fit just with our times, but also there's a lot of people in today's chapters. I think this is left over from the lock-in. The kids last night. Anyhow, it fits with several of the characters in the chapter we're going to read today. So, Psalm 61. Hear my cry, O Lord. Listen to my prayer. From the end of the earth I call to you when my heart is faint. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I, for you are my refuge, a strong tower against the enemy. Let me abide in your tent forever. Find refuge under the shelter of your wings. For you, O God, have heard my vows. You have given me the heritage of those who fear your name. Prolong the life of the king. May his years endure to all generations. May he be enthroned forever before God and point steadfast love and faithfulness to watch over him. So I will always sing praises to your name as I pay my vows day after day. Amen. Those last verses apply to David. And the chapters today, are about him getting his kingdom together. So,
Kathy?
Yeah.
That psalm, when he referred to the may the days of the king be long, was he talking about himself or Saul?
In this psalm?
Yes.
I would assume that the writer was talking about David.
Okay.
On mine, it says you will prolong the king's life.
Okay.
Rather than may they be long. It's like, I know God will make the life of the king long to rule over the people. So,
and David's life was pretty, I mean, we don't, no, I don't think we know how many years, but
he certainly got a lot done.
Yeah, because it's from reading, it sounds like he may be at this point after Saul's death. He's not necessarily a young man.
He was on the run for years.
Yeah, he was on the run for years. Right. And the hopefully two chapters we're going to cover today, cover at least 7 years, if not more. All right. So what we're going to be talking about today, Saul is dead. And last week we read David's lament for Saul. And, he was pretty positive about Saul. So I want you to hold on to that because that kind of behavior comes into play again. You see that again. Yeah.
I really blew
it. So, so to recap kind of where we are, all right, we're in 2 Samuel now. We're going to start with chapter 2, verse 4 today. But in 2 Samuel, David clearly is a clever politician. He also is a hero. And in the chapters 5, 6, and 8, we're going to see stories about his heroism. He also is, we know these stories, a murderer and an adulterer. And in chapter 11, we're going to see that. He's also a king on the run in chapter 15. He's a grieving father in chapters 16 to 18. And he's a victorious warrior in chapter 21. So we're going to see quite a range with David in 2 Samuel. Chapter 7, which it might be 2 weeks from now, that you get to chapter 7. And I won't be here. Oh, no. Well, maybe it'll be 3 weeks and I'll be here then. Chapter 7 is where God's covenant with David and his descendants is made. All right. So chapter 7 in 2 Samuel is a biggie. Right. So as I prepared for today, reading stuff, One of the questions that one of the commentators raised, and I wanted to pose to you guys, not necessarily to answer, but just a question to ponder as we go through this, as we go through David's story, is how do these stories of David, of course, how do we see David in the role that he played, but also how do these stories depict God? I know for myself at this age, my opinions about stuff can be pretty solid, but there are some that are still open so I'm trying to be open and for how they are. So how do these stories depict God as well? So, theme to ponder, all right? I also want to spend a little bit of time talking about, I meant to write these on the board, and I got to talking with Carson and Maggie about their honeybees because they made it through the winter so far. So we were celebrating that their honeybees survived. So there's a lot of characters in today's story. All right. Of course, there's David. Saul is a peripheral character. All right. But the person who seems to sort of take him over as king, who takes over as king on Saul's death, his name is Ishbal. All right. So that's Ishbal. He also goes by, some translations have it as Ishbosheth. All right. Supposedly because if it's that Baal, B-A-L-L, is the name of an evil god.
B-A-L-L or B-A-A-L?
Yes, B-A-A-L. Sorry. Brain and mouth were not in sync. So some places it's Ishbosheth, something. Ishbo something. All right.
Blah, blah, blah.
All right, and then Abner, son of Ner. Anybody remember who Abner is?
Yeah, he's Saul's cousin.
Right. Well, I can't remember if he's his cousin, but he was Saul's commander.
Right, they're related, but he was his commander. And do I remember correctly, he's the one that set this kid up as king of
Ishbal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
set him up
he
as
did.
king.
He set him up in Solomon, second Samuel 1. He set Ishbal up as Saul's successor.
Is Ishbal related to Saul?
His son.
Yes.
Oh, he is his
Yeah,
son.
He is his son.
Okay.
Right. He is his
Yeah,
son.
Because I was
one that
thinking-
survived. Yeah, 3 of them died,
Died.
but at least one survived.
But isn't Jonathan?
Jonathan's dead.
Jonathan's dead. Okay.
Yeah, Jonathan's
I missed
dead.
that. Okay.
Okay. All right. So Abner and Ishbal, all right, are king of Israel. All right. And then on David's side, okay, because a major event in these chapters 2, 3, and 4 is a civil war between Judah and Israel. Okay. That lasts 7 years and 3 months, according to the Bible. All right, so on David's side, he has his 3 nephews. Okay. And they were the sons of David's sister, Zeruiah. All right. So the 3 nephews are Joab. Okay. Joab's sort of like, of the 3 of them, he's sort of like David's commander, David's second-hand person. And then Abishar and Asahel. All right. So Joab, Abishai, and Asahel. All right. And all 3 of them are going to be in these chapters. Stories about all 3 of them. Okay. All right. Okay. So those are the main characters. And then there's lots of places. And so they're kind of running up and down. Let me, Sarah, if you don't mind me leaning over you. No, just stay right there. All right, so they're going to be running around pretty much. Let me get out of the way so that folks on Zoom can see. Here's Gibeon, one of the places we were talking about. Jabesh, Gilead, that's been mentioned. That so here's the Sea of Galilee. Here's the Dead Sea. All right. Here's Hebron. We're going to be talking a lot about Hebron. All right. So Hebron is just west of the Dead Sea. Okay, so they're gonna be running back and forth between in this area. Okay. Okay. Alrighty, so David's intent, his intent, his purpose, his focus is consolidating his power. Okay. Remember, he's already been anointed by God. That happened a number of years ago.
Yeah, he was still living at home.
Yeah, he was still living at home. Saul with king. So he's working on consolidating his leadership of the Israelites. And so by chapter 5, which hopefully it'll be next week, we get into that, that's when he takes Jerusalem. Remember, Jerusalem is not really a big place right yet. It's an insignificant little place, right? Or has been. Okay, so chapter 1 of 2 Samuel is really focused on the grief for Saul. All right. So chapter 10, we've got, it starts off, chapter 2 starts off with David asking God, shall I go up, I'm right at the beginning of chapter 2, shall I go up into any of the cities of Judah? Remember, Judah is the northern kingdom, Israel is the southern kingdom.
He did that
Backwards. Judah is the southern kingdom, Israel is the northern kingdom.
Made up your mind.
It did. Judah,
I can't
I'm
remember.
looking at yeah, Israel is to the north, Judah is to the south. All right?
There they are, the purple and the green.
It
on
depends
that
on your perspective.
map.
Yeah, right, right. Because remember, there were 12 tribes. That map on the bulletin board still kind of. No, see, look at the map
That's
on the
the
right.
Yeah,
The map on
the
the
green
right.
and the purple.
You see the purple Judah and green Israel.
No,
Right?
no, so are all the 12 tribes represented in those two countries at this point?
I think so.
I think Israel is.
The 10.
Because
See, Henner and Israel.
This shows all
Two and
12
two.
tribes.
Okay.
So if.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
most
I
of
think you're right then.
So it's a fluid kind of situation,
Yeah,
you know, because there weren't, oh, this is our territory with, you know,
it's pretty
It's
close.
it's
Yeah,
fairly close.
Reuben,
fairly
yeah.
Benjamin, Dan, you know,
Yeah.
Simone, Judah.
Right. And does anybody remember what tribe David came from? Benjamin, which is the smallest, one of the smallest. Isn't it that light peach gold color? Right in the middle towards the
I'm
bottom.
not taller than students.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
gold color here is Benjamin, so yeah,
So
that's
there's
small.
And
Right,
that's
so
where
the tribe of
Jerusalem is.
Benjamin plays into the chapters too.
That's where Jerusalem is, isn't it?
Well, I don't know if it's even really on there.
David was the tribe of Judah. It was Saul that was Benjamin.
Oh, okay,
Oh, okay.
okay,
I thought that was. Oh, sure.
all the details.
Anyhow, part of the reason I asked that is because when we were reading the genealogy in Matthew, when
Jerusalem's in
David did
Judah.
a sermon on that,
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Um,
don't think it
yeah.
shows.
Judah was one of the
In Hebron's where he sets up.
Yeah, that's right.
ancestors of
It's,
Jesus.
yeah,
uh-huh.
it's,
And
Judah was?
Judah
No,
was,
it's
yeah.
in
And I don't know
it
if Judah,
shows it right here.
the
shows
ancestors,
it
the
in
same thing as
Benjamin
Judah
there.
the tribe, I don't know.
So
Yep.
the dot is over. in
But
the
there
yellow.
was a Judah who was an ancestor
Yep,
of Jesus.
that's Benjamin.
Yeah.
And weirdly,
Your Bible's
Jacob was
wrong.
not listed as an
Yeah.
ancestor.
No,
It's right there at the,
Jacob is right
yeah, it's kind of right there at the border.
It's on.
For
Alright.
conversation, can somebody summarize?
Take Highway 1 down to 16 and make a right.
Yeah.
I'm flooding.
I'm trying to summarize, the folks over here were talking about map stuff. Cassie was making the point that in the genealogies, this is genealogy that's in Matthew 1.
Matthew.
Judah is listed,
As in,
whether or not it's the same Judah. Harold, I don't know if you know, is it the same Judah
as the tribe,
as the tribe?
It would be,
it would be
because that Judah was the son of Jacob, and his sons are the names of these tribes.
okay,
Except for Joseph.
yeah, yeah, and what I thought was, I was just saying to Kathy that I thought it was interesting that Joseph was not listed in that Matthew.
Two
and
of his sons,
but
his two sons.
Okay. In Matthew, okay.
And the reason that doesn't add up to 13 is that Levi, because he's of the priestly tribe, they didn't have land.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So Judah was Jacob, Joseph's brother, right?
Right.
Right, okay.
Okay, we gotta get rolling. We're gonna get through chapter 4. I don't think we are now, but that's cool. We're having a good discussion. All right, so David asked the Lord, should I go up into any of the cities of Judah? And the Lord says to him, go up. And David said, but to which shall I go? And he said, to Hebron. Okay, so that's where David is in Hebron. So he went and he took his 2 wives, Ahinoam of Jezreel and Abigail, remember the widow of Nabal. All right. And there's the first wife, Michal. She comes back. All right. She comes back into the story here in a little bit.
Or she did love him.
Well, she did. Whether that plays into it, I don't know. But her second husband definitely loved her. So we'll get to that story. Okay. All right. That's chapter 4. All right. So, if somebody would, let me just read the first couple of verses. All right. And then the people, so verse 4, then the people of Judah came, and there they anointed David king over the house of Judah. Okay. So David now, in the people's eyes is now officially the king of Judah. When they told David it was the people of Jabesh Gilead who buried Saul, Jabesh Gilead is up toward the Sea of Galilee. David sent messengers to the people of Jabesh Gilead and said to them, may you be blessed by the Lord, because you showed this loyalty to Saul your Lord and buried him. Okay, so David is praising these people for his loyalty to Saul. Now may the Lord show steadfast love and faithfulness to you, and I too will reward you because you have done this thing. Therefore, let your hands be strong and be valiant, for Saul your Lord is dead, and the house of Judah has anointed me king over them. Okay. All right, so now,
Remember, the people of Jabesh Gilead loved Saul so much, because what did he do for them? Remember, they were going to cut everyone's eyes out or something like that.
Oh,
And Saul protected them.
Yeah.
And so that's when he died, they said, we're going to go get our guy and bring him back and bury him.
Yeah.
And that's a great way to say it. We're going to go get our guy because he was their guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. So David is king of Judah. People recognize him as that. He's declaring that to them. So now, start with verses 8 through 23. The Civil War starts. All right. So Sarah, you want to read verses 8 through 23?
And Abner, son of Ner, commander of Saul's army, had taken Ishbosheth, son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim, and made him king over Gilead, and over the Asherite, and over Jezreel, and over Ephraim, and over Benjamin, and over Israel altogether. 40 years was Ishbosheth. Then he became king over Israel, and 2 years did he reign. But the house of Judah followed David. And the span of time that David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months. And Abner, son of Ner, with the servants of Ishbosheth, sallied forth from Mahanaim to Gibeon. And Joab, son of Jeruiah, and the servants of David had sallied forth. And they met each other by the pool of Gibeon, and they took up their positions on either side of the pool. And Abner said to Joab, pray, let the lads arise and play for us. And Joab said, let them arise. And they arose and crossed over, 12 in number for Benjamin, and for Ishbosheth, son of Saul, and 12 from the servants of David. And each man grasped the head of the other with his sword at the side of the other, and they fell together. And they called that place the field of flints, which is in Gibeon. And the fighting was very fierce on that day, and Abner with the men of Israel were routed by the servants of David. And the 3 sons of Jeruiah were there, Joab and Abishai and Asahel. And Asahel was as swift-footed as one of the gazelles of the open field. And Asahel chased after Abner, and he swerved not to the right or left in going after Abner. And Abner turned round and said, "Are you Asahel?" And he said, "I am." And Abner said to him, "Swerve to your right or your left, and seize for yourself one of the lads, and take you his armor." But Asahel did not want to turn away from him. And Abner once more said to Asahel, "Turn you away from me. Why should I strike you to the ground? And how would I show my face to Joab, your brother?" And he refused to turn aside. And Abner struck him in the belly with the butt of the spear. And the spear came out behind him, and he fell there and died on the spot.
Okay. So just the first, just the other. 40 seats. But going back to, so there's 12 from each side. And they're laying their swords. This process that sounds kind of weird. But apparently there is records from other ancient times of that kind of fighting.
Grasping the offended by the head.
Yep. So, so it's apparently not a unique practice. And in fact, in verse 16, I think yours said the field of Lent. All right. Mine says, the NRSV says, therefore that place was called Helkath Hazurim, and the literal translation, according to, I think it's altar, is the field of sword edges.
Yeah, mine just says field of swords.
Field of swords. Yep.
I got sword edges also.
All right.
Field of daggers or field of hostilities.
It's because stone swords and so
Field
forth.
of dreams is a much
Ships
better.
were made out of flint.
Oh, they were made out of flint.
Big bullet.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess they didn't have, steel at that point.
Well, flint is very sharp.
Yeah.
It can be.
Because remember, the Philistines were more technologically advanced because they did have iron. And so they had the chariots, and the Hebrew people did not.
I don't know why it's worth considering here, but the idea that he ran the butt end of his spear through somebody, that takes a lot of thrust.
Yeah.
And I would
Right.
use the sharp end of my stick.
Yeah. Right. So that's right. So remember this, because there's another story about somebody being stabbed in the belly. Circumstances will be a little bit different, but Abner.
I don't even know how you could. I mean, I read that and I thought, how could you even do that? How could you put the butt of a spear through something?
I think the
Doesn't make
point
any
is
sense.
that Abner could be pretty vicious, right? So as we go through, in fact, you might watch how he and Ishbosheth, how the two of them relate.
Yeah, but he was actually trying to save the guys because he didn't want to face the guy's brother. So he really wasn't trying to be vicious. It was kind of like he was forced to do it almost.
You can tell him, get away.
Yeah, get away, go home, go find somebody else to chase it. And so he really didn't want to do it.
You don't think so?
Sounded like that.
Okay.
And he kept warning,
Yeah.
don't, hey, quit following me,
Yeah.
quit chasing
But you
me.
have better people to
And he
kill.
wouldn't, no, I'm not. He was like,
Yeah, I mean, even
Yeah.
the third time he says, "Why should I strike you to the ground?"
Yeah, and the fact that he was afraid that, he didn't want to have to face the guy's brother, I mean, it shows at least some relationship was there of something.
how could I look your brother Job in the face?
Yeah.
Right.
So it's a compassionate murder.
Yeah.
If such a thing exists.
Okay.
So
Kinda like
you
when
now to.
when my dad was getting ready to smack me. This is compassionate.
This is.
Yeah. I got that line a lot.
But thank you for this later.
After the nuns had already got, right?
Yeah, the nuns, no, they didn't have any compassion. They're into the blood and guts.
All right, well, let's see what happens next. All right, because Joab and his brother, Abishai, they pursue Abner. Okay, so who would like to read verses 24 to the end of chapter 2? Okay.
But Joab and Abishai pursued Abner. As the sun was going down, they came to the hill of Ammah, which lies before Giah on the way to the wilderness of Gibeah. The Benjaminites rallied around Abner and formed a single band. They took their stand on top of the hill. Then Abner called to Joab, is the sword to keep devouring forever? Do you not know that the end will be bitter? How long will it be before you order your people to turn from the pursuit of their kinsmen? Joab said, as God lives, if you had not spoken, the people would have continued to pursue their kinsmen, not stopping until morning. Joab sounded the trumpet, and all the people stopped. They no longer pursued Israel or engaged in battle any further. Keep going.
To the end of the chapter, to the end of verse.
Abner and his men traveled all that night through the Abarah, and they crossed the Jordan, and marching the whole forenoon, they came to Manahath. Joab returned from the pursuit of Abner, and when he had gathered all the people together, there were missing of David's servants 19 men besides Eshel. But the servants of David had killed of Benjamin 360 of Abner's men. They took up Eshel and buried him in the tomb of his father, which was at Bethlehem. Joab and his men marched all night, and the day broke upon them at Hebron.
So a truce was called. In essence. And Joab took his brother back to Bethlehem, which is where they were from. I got my bees mixed up earlier. And when Joab blew the trumpet, it was probably a shofar, the horn. So probably blew, because some translations may have said blow the horn. Anyhow, anything anybody wants to add about this truce being formed between the two? Because they each retreated back to safe grounds for them. Abner on Ishbaal's side and Joab on David's side. Okay, so while we got this little truce, the tone changes with chapter 3. If somebody would read verses 1 through 16 of chapter 3. We'll do that. Okay.
There was a long war between the house of Saul and the house of David. David grew stronger and stronger, while the house of Saul became weaker and weaker. Sons were born to David at Hebron. His firstborn was Amnon of Ahinoam of Jezreel. His second, Chileab of Abigail, the widow of Nabal of Carmel. The third, Absalom, son of Maacah, daughter of King Talmai of Jesser. And the fourth, Adonijah, son of Haggith. The fifth, Shephatiah, son of Abital. And the sixth, Ithream, of David's wife Eglah. These were born to David in Hebron.
Should have given you time to practice ahead of time.
Very well.
Yes, yes.
A lot of wives we had.
That was
So this is obviously before the era of divorce lawyers.
While there was war between the house of Saul and the house of David, Abner was making himself strong in the house of Saul. Now Saul had a concubine whose name was Rizpah, daughter of Aiah. And Ishbaal said to Abner, Why have you gone into my father's concubine? The words of Ishbal made Abner very angry. He said, am I a dog's head for Judah? Today I keep showing loyalty to the house of your father Saul, to his brothers and to his friends, and have not given you into the hand of David. And yet you charge me now with a crime concerning this woman. So may God do to Abner, and so may he add to it. For just what the Lord has sworn to David, that will I accomplish for him, to transfer the kingdom from the house of Saul and set up the throne of David over Israel and over Judah, from Dan to Beersheba. And Ishbal could not answer Abner another word because he feared him. You want me to go 16, right? Abner sent the messengers to David at Hebron, saying, to whom does the land belong? Make your covenant with me, and I will give you my support to bring all Israel over to you. He said, good, I will make a covenant with you. But one thing I require of you, you shall never appear in my presence unless you bring Saul's daughter Michal when you come to see me. Then David sent messengers to Saul's son Ishbal, saying, give me my wife Michal, to whom I became engaged at the price of 100 foreskins of the Philistines. Ishbal sent and took her from her husband Paltiel, the son of Laish. But her husband went with her, weeping as he walked behind her all the way to Paran. Then Abner said to him, go back home. So he went back. Oh.
Yeah. Poor Paltiel. That's who Saul had, taken Michal from David and given him to Paltiel. So Paltiel apparently fell in love with Michal. So anyhow, so Michal is back. So David has all these wives from all these different places. So his harem was political. That's what his harem was about. Was gaining, just like the monarchies in Europe. Those were all political marriages. So David's long before that. David's were too.
So now he's got 7 wives with the return of Michal.
Right. And it's thought that bringing Michal back was a political move as well. Michal loved him.
You gotta be 18 to read this. I never heard of such a thing. Price of foreskins.
Yeah, you don't remember that story?
Yeah, that was.
That's
Some of that, you weren't here that week then.
I do. And
I do too.
his son was 100, but he brought back 200.
Yes. He brought back a lot of foreskins. Yep, it's in First Samuel. Look it up.
And that's how we got Michal as a wife.
That was the trophy.
Yeah.
And then it always makes me wonder why people want the Bible in the library and ban other books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually end up.
Pretty gory.
Schools go through the bannings, go, all right, then, we're gonna put in, you need to ban the Bible. It's done.
Yep. All right, because going back to David's sons that are listed in the beginning of chapter 3, 3 of his sons don't necessarily go on to great things. Amnon rapes his sister.
Oh.
Right, so we're going to be reading about that later on. That's a trying story. Absalom later usurps the throne. All right. And then Adonijah, he proclaims himself king while the old David is ill and unaware. So we'll be hearing about 3 of them.
I'd like to be a fly on the wall at their Thanksgiving dinner.
Right. Right. Okay. So then we have this story about Abner going into basically Ishmael's, and I'm saying Ishmael because it's just easier for me to say that. His harem, because he apparently has inherited his father's concubines. Right. And so Ishmael accuses Abner of, why have you gone into my concubine, which is an idiom in Hebrew for why did you have sex with my dad's concubine? right? And that made Abner very angry. And also for someone, the sort of tradition at that time, if you went in and, had business with the king's concubine, that was quite an affront on his power. Okay.
And he hadn't actually done it, or we don't know.
We don't know. Abner said he did.
Said he did or didn't?
Well, he said, "Why have you gone into my father's concubine?" So, and so Abner got really angry. Am I a dog's head for Judah? All right. So dogs were considered really lowly creatures in those times.
It seems to be denying it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That just trying to protect himself.
Right. So he then is very offended. I'm showing up. I've been loyal to your father all these years. So, to his friends, to his brothers, and have not given you into the hand of David. I could have turned you over to David, and I didn't do that. I set you up as king. Yet you charge me now with a crime concerning this woman. So may God do to Abner, and so may he add to it. For just what the Lord has sworn to David, that will I accomplish for him, to transfer the kingdom from the house of Saul and set up the throne of David over Israel and over Judah, from Dan to Beersheba. And Ishmael could not answer Abner another word because he feared him. So Abner just flipped sides. Sounds to me. Okay. All righty. So then Michael comes back to David. So if somebody would read verses 17 through 39.
I wonder if there's some social or cultural difference between wives and concubines, and that's part of what we're not picking up, why he got so mad about the concubine versus didn't call them wives. And I'm wondering if there's some difference we don't get between wives and concubines. I didn't think concubines were married to the people, but I don't know. Did y'all bump into anything like that?
So, women were viewed as property to start with, for the most part.
Is it possible that wives had a little bit more standing in some way, or a little bit more power than concubines?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Is there some social, cultural thing we don't get when we're reading this,
I wonder if the concubines are considered even more property.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's like you're stealing my property.
Yeah.
Sex slaves.
They're sex slaves.
Yeah,
That's
right.
exactly what they are. When
Right.
you think about the story of Abraham and Sarah, Sarah was Abraham's wife. Hagrid was his concubine, and once Hagrid conceived Ishmael, which gave her a little bit of standing because finally Abraham had a son. But then when Sarah conceived Isaac, Hagrid got cast out into the desert with Ishmael. So yeah, I think concubines they were sex slaves. That's exactly
it.
Yeah. It says that wives and concubines were both part of the royal harem, but they differed significantly in status, rights, and legality. Wives were legally wedded with dowries, whereas concubines were secondary, often lower status partners without formal marriage contracts. Concubines were recognized members of the household, but held at a lower social standing.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Verses 17 through 39.
Oh, here. But it does say, while both were part of the household, possessing a king's concubine was a direct act of treason or a claim to the throne.
I didn't read it as being that strong a word, but
Yeah.
yeah.
As shown by Absalom's act against David and Abner's action with Rizpah.
Oh, okay. All right. So what?
That's a challenge to the throne. That's
Oh,
interesting.
so Ishmael stood up, questioned it. It seemed to be kind of passive. Abner was seen to be the real powerhouse for Judah after Saul's death.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Abner had some power before, but, Saul's stronger sons seemed to be the ones. The sons that died seemed to be the stronger sons.
Yeah, I gotta wonder where
It sure was.
yeah, during that whole thing, maybe.
Yeah. Right.
It does say in mine that he was weak willed,
Uh-huh.
that he was not one to stand up for himself, so.
Yeah.
Abner kind of, boy, he'll be a puppet regime.
Yeah.
for me.
Right. Okay. Somebody read 17 through 39.
I'll take it.
Okay.
Abner went to the leaders of Israel and said to them, "For a long time you have wanted David to be your king. Now here is your chance. Remember that the Lord has said, I will use my servant David to rescue my people Israel from the Philistines and from all their other enemies." Abner spoke also to the people of the tribe of Benjamin and then went to Hebron to tell David what the people of Benjamin and of Israel had agreed to do. When Abner came to David at Hebron When Abner came to David at Hebron with 20 men, David gave a feast for them. Abner told David, "I will go now and win all Israel over to your majesty. They will accept you as king, and then you will get what you have wanted and will rule over the whole land." David gave Abner a guarantee of safety and sent him on his way. Later on, Joab and David's other office officials returned from a raid, bringing a large amount of loot with them. Abner, however, was no longer there at Hebron, and because David had sent him away with the guarantee of safety. When Joab and his other men arrived, he was told that Abner had come to King David and had been sent away with a guarantee of safety. So Joab went to the king and said to him, "What have you done? Abner came to you. Why did you let him go like that? He came here to deceive you and to find out everything you do and everywhere you go. Surely you know that." After leaving David, Joab sent messengers to get Abner, and they brought him back to Sarah well. But David knew nothing about it. When Abner arrived in Hebron, Joab took him aside at the gate as though he wanted to speak privately with him. And there he stabbed him in the stomach. And so Abner was murdered because he had killed Joab's brother Asahel. When David heard the news, he said, "The Lord knows that my subjects and I are completely innocent of the murder of Abner. May punishment for it fall on Joab and all his family. In every generation, may there be some man in his family who has gonorrhea or a dreaded skin disease, or is fit to do a woman's work, or is killed in battle, or doesn't have enough to eat." So Joab and his brother Abisai took revenge on Abner for killing their brother Asahel in the battle of Gibeon. Want me to keep reading? That's 31 to 30.
39.
39. Oh. Then David ordered Joab and his men to tear their clothes, wear sackcloth, and mourn for Abner. And at the funeral, King David himself walked behind the coffin. Abner was buried at Hebron, and the king wept aloud at the grave. So did all the people. David sang this lament for Abner. Why did Abner have to die like a fool? His hands were not tied, and his feet were not bound. He died like someone killed by criminals. And the people wept for him again. All day long, the people tried to get David to eat something, but he made a solemn promise. "May God strike me dead if I eat anything before the day is over." They took note of this and were pleased. Indeed, everything the king did pleased the people. All of David's people and all the people of Israel understood that the king had no part in the murder of Abner. The king said to his officials, "Don't you realize that this day a great leader in Israel has died? Even though I am the king chosen by God, I feel weak today. These sons of Zeruiah are too violent for me. May the Lord punish these criminals as they deserve." Thus saith the word of the Lord.
So we have quite a transition here. All right, with David becoming king, and notice it was after Abner's death that then the title of King David was used. So all that coming together, David consolidating Israel into a whole nation, Israel and Judah. So it's kind of, for me, it's kind of interesting to think about David. Going back to those, I keep going back to those incidents where, Saul was chasing after him, and the two opportunities that David had to kill Saul, and he didn't do it.
Now, his uniting was just the southern kingdom, right? Because the northern kingdom had been annihilated basically in 722. So, I mean, he was only kind of bringing together the southern kingdom, correct? Not all of Israel.
David was ruling about the year 1000.
I'm sorry, say it again.
David ruled about the year 1000, so the northern kingdom still exists.
Right.
No, it had been taken over. 1000's after 722 BC.
No, it's not. It's
That's
before.
before.
Wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah, so that's, yeah. So, and in fact, it mentions,
And that's right. Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize.
sounds like this, we all get mixed up.
This is where he's not just Judah, he's all of Israel.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. He's now all of Israel, the purple and the green. Now he's over all of that. Yeah. So we've got that big transition.
Thanks to
He's now-
Abner.
yeah.
Thanks to Abner.
Yeah. Abner seems to have made it possible. Yeah. Yeah.
Just because he wanted to sleep with the Saul's concubine.
Yep.
Got
One
mad,
time can
got
do
mad.
it.
Yeah.
He
said,
"What am I, a
Someone-
traitor?" Came down to it.
They have wives, concubines, prostitutes.
Well, the prostitutes aren't with the king.
Well, I know, we all.
Yeah,
When they concubine, prostitutes become a concubine in the
Exactly. We all know
Yeah.
that. That's all of
Yeah.
A lot of prostitutes.
Yeah, most of
Legal
them.
prostitutes.
I was trying to limit the number.
Well,
Yeah.
And the thing that made them all the same was they were beautiful.
all right. Well, everybody have a good week.